Good morning again, and thank you for joining us on day 2 of Streaming Media West 2015. For those of you that weren't here for the Reader's Choice Awards, everyone had a good day yesterday? And those of you who were here for the Reader's Choice Awards are tired of applauding, so I understand that. I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. I'm the editor of Streaming Media and streamingmedia.com. And welcome again to day 2. Once again, for those of you who didn't hear yesterday, Dan Rayburn, who programmed Streaming Media West, was unable to be here this year, but he wants me to pass along that he is available at any time with any questions about the event, about streaming technologies, vendors, suppliers, purchasing, et cetera, et cetera. His phone number is on his blog, but he wanted me to pass it along. It's 917-523-4562, and he is happy to take your call at any time with any streaming-related question. Once again, in addition to Streaming Media West today, we have the Live Streaming Summit, which I put together, and thanks to all the folks who are participating in that. It's taking place at the same time, and I'd like to thank the sponsors for the Live Streaming Summit, Comcast Wholesale and Ustream. The Live Streaming Summit track has moved to a different room today. It will be in Grand Ballroom Salon F, which is down the hall there. It's where all the other streaming media tracks were yesterday, except the one. Track A is here in the Huntington Ballroom. Track B is in Salon E. Track C is in Salon F. According to my notes, the Live Streaming Summit is also in Salon F. That's physically impossible. There are signs everywhere. I think you can find your rooms. And the Discovery track will once again be in the Grand Ballroom, Salon A. Our exhibit hall will open up again at 10 a.m. right after the keynote. All morning and afternoon breaks will take place in the exhibit hall, and check your program for times, and please stop by and see our exhibitors. Also, Dan Rayburn is giving away a few Google Chromecasts during the show. And for those of you who are interested in winning a Google Chromecast, tweet anything about the event with the hashtag SMWChrome for a chance to win a Google Chromecast. The regular hashtag for the show is SMWest, and the Wi-Fi is the Hyatt Meetings Network, and the password is SMWest 2015. All of the presentations, the slides that the speakers are giving, will be available in the next couple of days on the streamingmedia.com/West website, and all of the sessions will be archived in video for viewing, and they'll be up on the site within a couple of weeks. We couldn't do this without our sponsors, and I'd like to thank our gold sponsors and above: All Digital, CleverSafe, Conviva, Epiphan Video, Limelight Networks, Mirror Image, PTZ Optics, Quantum, Ramp, Scality, Sony, Teradek, and vMix. Let's give a hand to our sponsors, please. We've got a terrific keynote for you this morning. Yesterday's keynote was wonderful as well. As most of you know, or many of you know, this year Yahoo was selected by the NFL to stream the Buffalo Bills Jacksonville Jaguars game from London live and for free. That marked the very first time that an NFL game was delivered only over the top outside of the team's local markets. And in the presentation today, our speakers will talk about Yahoo's platform, its ability to select CDNs according to stream quality and differentiate quality per device, along with how they collaborated with ISPs and got performance metrics, ABR, and other details of this milestone live event. We've got 2 speakers today. Our first speaker is PPS Narayan, who's the VP of Yahoo Video Products and Platforms Engineering. PPSN joined Yahoo in 2008, and prior to this role, he led engineering for much of Yahoo Cloud Services and Platforms, where he was responsible for storage, serving, and edge. Prior to Yahoo, PPSN was at Bell Labs Research, where he had led R&D on storage, networking, network management, and video. Our other speaker is Omer Luzadi, who is the Senior Director and Head of Yahoo Video Platform Engineering. He's in charge of feed acquisition, delivery, and player. Omer joined Yahoo in July of 2014 through the acquisition of his company, Ravy, which provided video streaming solutions to the NBA, Blizzard, and other content owners. So without further ado, please welcome PPSN and Omer from Yahoo.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is PPS Narayan. I run the video products and platform engineering at Yahoo. And with me is Omer. He is the head of video platform engineering at Yahoo. And today, together, we are going to talk to you about delivering the large-scale live streaming event on Yahoo that happened on October 25th, 2015. Before we get into how, it's important to set the context on why and what. So, as many of you know, the NFL is the #1 sporting audience in the US. So from a sporting audience perspective, the NFL is the biggest in the US. And this is evident in the amount of people that come and watch the game every Sunday, on Monday, and on Thursdays. And if you look at February 2015, when we had the Super Bowl, there were 120 million viewers that viewed the game on Sunday. Not only that, if you look at the fall lineup last year, 45 out of the 50 top-rated shows on TV were NFL games. That's like super surprising because that's basically NFL dominating the TV audience. In fact, the top 20 were all NFL games last year. Even this year, the top 12 games, the top 12 fall lineup shows on TV are NFL games. So the NFL is big. Yahoo is also big. We have 1 billion users who come monthly and visit Yahoo across the world. In addition to that, we have some of the top sports franchises. Yahoo Sports, Yahoo Fantasy are some of the top franchises for sports, and a lot of users visit it on a daily basis. In addition to that, Yahoo has a lot of relationships with advertisers, with our partners who want to come and showcase their products on Yahoo as well. A lot of the things that happen on the web today, and in fact even in mobile, are invented at Yahoo. A lot of the innovation that happens, be it big data, be it edge serving, be it video, are the innovations that were created at Yahoo, and now they are pervasive across the industry. And finally, Yahoo is very partner-centric. In fact, we work with the NFL even before October 25th. There is NFL videos that are surfaced at Yahoo and presented to our audience before October 25th, and a lot of viewers come and watch the videos and look at stats and scores and things like that on Yahoo as well. So when the NFL came to Yahoo and talked to us about doing the game on October 25th, we were super excited and we were super thrilled. And we said, OK, this announcement will be basically on June, maybe middle of June that happened. And we had about 4.5 months to prepare for this game. The game was in Wembley, London. And it was between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills. And the game was going to be played and distributed across the world globally as a live streaming audience. And this is the first time it was going to happen for an NFL game. And this was super exciting. We sat down with the NFL. Some of the NFL folks are here maybe today. And we collaboratively came up with what are the goals for this event. We wanted to show that we could reach a large audience across the world. And so we came up with the goals, and the goals that we came up with was not only do we want to reach the NFL fans across the world, anywhere in the world, on OTT, on streaming, but we also wanted to bring the Yahoo audience to watch the NFL game. So the Yahoo audience is 1 billion users monthly, and we wanted to bring this to the NFL game as well. We wanted to grow the audience that the NFL could get. In addition to that, we didn't want to just make it a TV experience. We wanted to make it a differentiated experience. We wanted to create something unique, especially for the new audience that comes in, like the millennials, who wanted to consume a different type of experience than what was there on TV. And then the third thing that we wanted to do is we just didn't want to make the user experience as good as TV, but we wanted to make it better than TV. And therefore, the quality that people would watch with on that game would be much better than what you would watch on TV. So these were the 3 big goals that we had. And we came to October 25th. And before we get into the how, let's look at what the results look like. So it was October 25th. It was 6 a.m. We had a 5 a.m. Pregame show. We had a 6 a.m. NFL pregame show. 6:30, the game started, and the game went on until about 10 a.m. in the morning, and we wrapped up at about 10:30. And the results were absolutely fantastic. What we saw was across the world, overwhelmingly, a lot of people were very happy and very thrilled with the experience that they had on Yahoo. Watch with the World, which was our hashtag, was number 3 on Twitter. In fact, a lot of people were so happy with the quality of the experience that many of them clipped it and were sharing it on Instagram. We were number 1 on Instagram. A lot of the audience was super thrilled with the experience. In fact, we had tweets even from Ray, who said he had a very quick start and there was no rebuffering. It was seen as being one of the big successes of Yahoo. A lot of people saw HD quality stream without any hitch, and mostly a lot of people called out that Yahoo had changed the game for OTT streaming, especially for live sports. Fantastic win from audience perspective. In addition to that, the NFL was also super thrilled. In fact, from the NFL, we had a lot of kudos on the success that we had after the game. And Roger Goodell himself, the commissioner of the NFL, said that basically we were able to reach a lot more fans with this platform. And if you look at the numbers, this is kind of supported. We had the biggest live streaming event of US sports in history. We had 33 million streams that were delivered on that day. We had 15 million unique viewers that saw the game. We had about 33% of the viewers that were international, so the NFL was actually able to reach a big international audience. And we reached audiences in about 185 different countries. In addition to this, we had about 450 million minutes of view time across the world. That was a huge number. And from a differentiated experience perspective, Yahoo has a lot of properties, a lot of websites, and we were able to surface this game on all of our properties. If you went to yahoo.com, you could see it at the top in yahoo.com. You could watch the game on Mail as you were surfing Mail on the side. It was a small window, but you could see it there. In fact, it was on our Tumblr feed. You could go to sports or fantasy websites, and you could watch it there. You could go to any of our apps, and you can watch it there as well. In fact, we surfaced it on NFL.com. We had about 20-plus experiences. Rather than having just the commentary in English, we had multiple audio channels. We had commentary in English. We had a commentary in Spanish. In addition to that, we gave a unique viewing experience where at Yahoo Studios in Sunnyvale, we had fantasy football commentators who were providing additional audio on top of it. And a lot of our fans loved it. It was a very unique experience, and people just were so thrilled with that experience, and we got a lot of kudos on that. From an accessibility perspective, we had closed captioning across the board. In fact, for people who were on Mail and had a muted experience and they wanted to mute, they could actually still watch and learn what's going on in the game through the closed captioning. And finally, we didn't want to just reach our audience on laptops, tablets, desktops, or phones. We wanted to reach our audience across the board. So we worked very hard through the 4 months to make sure that the experience was available on a lot of connected devices, be it Fire TV, be it TiVo, be it Xbox, Roku's Chromecasting, on our connected TVs themselves, like Sony's, Vizios, and Samsung's. And across the board, we could reach a very, very, very broad audience. And then, if you look at the quality of the stream, we got also amazing reviews on that. The quality of the stream was HD quality, 720p, and in order to make sports and fast motion action available in the best crisp quality, we made sure that we had 60 frames per second on multiple bit rates. And Omer will also talk about how we managed to achieve that. a lot of our users actually saw the experience at up to 6.7 megabits per second. So it was a pretty high bit rate across the board at 60 FPS. And in addition to this, the rebuffering ratio, which is the spinner that most people see when the video is not playing, which has to be very, very low, preferably 0, was 0.6% in the US on desktop. And overall, we saw that our rebuffering ratio was lower than 1%. In fact, if you look at the industry standard from a live perspective, the rebuffering ratio that people see is roughly 1.5%, sorry, 1.4% that you see here. So our rebuffering ratio, our quality, our delivery across the world was pretty phenomenal. And how did we achieve that? And now Omer is going to come and talk about how we achieved that.
Thank you, PPSN. I'm going to talk more about the how and the innovations or the technical innovations that we introduced in order to achieve these numbers. I'll concentrate on the player innovation, on the delivery, and a little bit more about the operation itself. Let's start with the player and with adaptive bitrate. Adaptive bitrate was introduced in order to overcome the problem of network fluctuations in the network condition, whether those are lower available bandwidth or obviously buffering or congestion that cause buffering from the network side. So we decided to concentrate on 3 metrics. One is buffering ratio, so lowering, using the ABR, the buffering ratio to the minimum possible. However, to maintain the maximum possible average bitrate and to have a fast start time. That is less important for long formats or for live, but since we are building the same ABR for VOD, that was one of the goals. There are other metrics to ABR, such as the number of times that you switch between qualities, but we decided to focus on these 3. We built an internal tool that can simulate the network, and we benchmark using this tool our own algorithm against the market algorithms, such as the one that you have from Apple, the one that you have from other browsers, Exoplayer, and the like. I combined here 3 typical network conditions to one example. You can see that we start with 1 megabit per second, then the network jumps to 10 megabit per second, maintain 10 megabit per second, drop to 750 kilobits per second, and gradually goes up to 3 megabit per second. This is what the network, the capacity of the network at a particular time. Let's see the behavior of the benchmark ABR that we tested, a very common ABR in the market. You can see that the user, what you see here is what users are watching, not what is the decision of the ABR algorithm, but what actually the player is playing. So at second 5, it jumps up to 450 kilobits per second. So at that time, the viewer starts watching 400 kilobits per second. Gradually, it goes up to the 3.5 megabit per second. Note that the 3.5 megabit per second happens after the drop in the network. Why is that? Because of the internal buffer of the player. The player has a buffer of roughly 24 seconds, according to the way that you play with the HLS. So the decision to go up from 230 to 330 happened before the drop. But the viewer saw the higher quality, and then it actually caused buffering in between seconds 90 to 100. You can see that at that time, the viewer simply saw nothing and probably a spinning wheel. Then this benchmark ABR managed to cope, managed to reactivate the player, and going up to 650 kilobits per second. Our own ABR, compared to this, behaved in this manner. So we started much before, actually at 0.6 seconds, in 600 milliseconds. We jumped up to the 7 megabit per second, the 6.7 megabit per second that we provide. We still had a buffer, so even after the drop, users continue, or the player continue playing the 7 megabit per second stream, and we dropped to the 450 kilobits per second and went up to the 1 megabit per second. When we compare the important metric that we evaluate, we see that the average bitrate in our ABR was 2.17 megabit per second, 0 buffering ratio, and 0.6 start time, versus a benchmark that was 1.2 megabit per second, 5.6% packet loss, and 5.2 seconds to start. We are not done with our ABR. We have a lot of work there. As I mentioned before, the number of fluctuation is something we are not yet completely happy with, but we compare it to all the other ABR, almost all the other ABR there, and we are very happy. The next item that I want to talk about, the next innovation, is player recovery. ABR cannot solve all problems. If your CDN fails, then no matter how good your ABR is, the player will get stuck. If not a complete CDN failure, but only an edge node within the CDN that failed, also that would cause, obviously, a problem. And even TCP is very problematic in terms of the way that the TCP windows behaves. So if you drop to a window which is 0, it takes a very long time to go up again. So what do most players do in such cases? What did we used to do before the NFL game? Simply nothing. Praying that the user will refresh the screen, or that somehow the CDN will come back to live, praying that the user will not tweet about this, and so on and so forth. We decided to take an action here, and if we see in amount of 10 seconds that the buffer, that we have a serious problem, the buffer shrinks, we start buffering, and so on and so forth, then we call a server, our own server, asking the server, what should we do in such a case? So we actively restart the session. Maybe the server will send us another CDN, maybe another link within the same CDN, but that was the way to solve this problem. What we saw, and the graph here, shows during the game itself, a fraction of around 2 minutes. Each bar is 5 seconds in width. So we have roughly 2 minutes here presented with a number of buffering, recovering, recovered, and so on. We had, in the first third of the transmission, we had a CDN failure. We had a fire cut in Dallas because of a storm that happened in Dallas the day before, and that fire cut caused a complete failure to the upload to one of the 7 CDNs that we were using. During that time, around 100,000 viewers was watching that CDN. And what you can see in here, probably the cut happened in one of these 5 bars over there. But then, in around 20 seconds, we managed to recover most of them. I would call it a period of around 1 minute for 100,000 of them to switch CDN and to start watching again. And that was one of the cases that we saw for the huge importance of the recovery algorithm. I do recommend everyone that build players. It's not complex. Implement it. Let me move to delivery. The main innovation that we introduced in delivery is what we called a video routing policy server. That server decides basically or dictate two things. One is the range and the actual streams that will be within the ABR that the player will receive, and I'll explain that in a second. And the second one, the second decision is the CDN that we recommend that player to work with. Let's start with explaining why do we need it. So ABR. ABR, you want, in some cases, to restrict. PPSN mentioned before that we were showing the game on various Yahoo properties, such as Yahoo Mail. In the case of the mail, it was a very small window on the right corner just near your mail. I think it was 300 by 200 or something like that. There is no reason to go to 6 megabits per second in such a case. You are risking buffering. You take bits, and you gain nothing because, in any case, in such a small screen, no one can see the difference. So you want to start with low bit rate, and you don't want to go up higher than, let's say, 1 megabit per second in such a case. In the ultimate case of television sets or full screen, over there you don't want to start with 300 kilobits per second because it's a not very nice experience. So you want to start with 1 and go up to 6. So those decisions were made by the video routing policy. But that covers only part of the problem, because we wanted to introduce 60 frames per second. PPSN mentioned before that we decided to go with 60 frames per second. The way to make the decision was somewhat, we went to Tech Council, which is Yahoo technical committee, and they asked us, why won't we do 60 frames per second? We went back to our lab, and we did a survey with like 50, most of them engineers, asking them what's better, this screen with 6 megabits per second, 60 frames per second, or that one, 6 megabits per second with 30 frames per second. The results were that 70% thought the 30 frames per second is actually better. Because if you think of it, you take 1 second, you divide it into 60 frames. Obviously, the encoding will be a little bit more harsh on those, so the blurriness of the picture will be higher on the 60 frames per second versus the 30 frames per second. However, the test was done on an ABC stream and not on a game. When we took the NFL stream and we did the same test with 60 frames per second versus 30, then the result reversed. And not only that, many people, even Yahoo founder David Fallow, Damian here that runs operation, they claimed that the ball jumps from point to point in the 30 frames per second stream. So it was kind of a quantum article jumping in space for them. I saw it smoothly, but many people then saw that same experience. So we decided to go with 60 frames per second. But not all devices support 60 frames per second. So now we needed to have 6 megabits per second with 60 and 6 megabits per second with 30. Who could make the decision which stream to provide to whom? Obviously, the video routing server. So Apple version 4S and above supports, version 4 and below doesn't support. Samsung claimed to not support, but actually in some cases do support. So a variation of, we came with 14 device types to make this decision. It gets even more complex because on some browsers, we couldn't show the 60 frames per second because of our own implementation of Flash on that browser. By the way, we used on Safari HTML5, on Chrome Flash. We had mixed of technologies here. We're moving to HTML5 more and more. So we needed to take into account the browsers as well. All these 3 5 times 14 times 5 result in the streams that will be part of the ABR that the player can then go up and down within those streams. In terms of geographies, we actually ended up with 7 geographical zones. The reason that we call it zones and not simply geographies is because we were working with one of the ISPs. We provided a stream directly to the ISP for the ISP viewers. So our video routing policy knew about the IPs of that ISP, and for those viewers, provided the CDN of that ISP. The results of that, we did several tests. The results were pretty astonishing in terms of the performance when you provide a very close edge, namely within your ISP, to the player. During the game, what you see here are the concurrent viewers on each ISP. We start with 1. You can see that there are 6 CDNs that are provided here. The total, we obviously do not share concurrent, but we can share that we had 7 terabits per second at peak delivers. So at the peak moment, 7 terabits were provided by all these 7 CDNs. So in this moment, when I showed there the arrow, that's when we had the fiber cut, and we decided to take one of the CDNs completely down. The second was a CDN problem. It wasn't major, but we definitely saw a major degradation in what was before the leading CDN. So we decided to switch. And close to the end of the game, we found out that one CDN simply outperformed all the rest internationally as well. We decided to go with that CDN much, much harder and to give it most of the streams. These are just examples. We had 29 changes during the game, all of them done watching the results, but done manually. We are now obviously automating part of this decision. The easiest ones are the failure. This is something that we're going to have really soon. Identifying a failure is relatively easy. Taking that CDN out of rotation is relatively easy. The other ones are more heuristic in sense, and it will take us a little bit more time, I believe, to learn how to adjust during the game. Operations. The stream, as PPSN mentioned before, was produced by CBS in London. We got from CBS and the NFL 2 streams. We got from them 2 streams. Why 2? Because the ads were inserted to the stream before we actually got it. So we got them in 2 sites, one for failover, one main site, and we got them with fibers and with satellite as well. So we had one failover between sites, other failover between fiber and satellites. From those sites, the stream went up to the CDNs. All of our backend servers, such as the video routing policy server, the analytics server that we built, were hosted in 5 different sites or NOCs that are big and very reliable. Also, think of Yahoo pages. They were also hosted in all these POPs, data centers. In addition to that, we had 30 POPs plus CDNs actually involved in the streaming as well. Operation, the actual real-time operation. So In addition to the streams, Yahoo also created its own stream with fans of the two teams coming to Yahoo offices and producing a new stream which had different audio, the audio of these guys on top of the stream. So we wanted to showcase the Yahoo abilities to actually create a channel. Yahoo, as you all know, is a media tech company. You can see in the middle the control room, and on the right, you can see the decision center. In the decision center, we had participants from each team, be it the network team, the player team, the server statistics team, and so on and so forth. I think that we achieved a lot. We have additional ideas and obviously way to go. I mentioned TCP before. We are obviously evaluating other alternatives to that. We learned a lot about the problems. We learned a lot about what needs to be improved. We learned a lot how the market works in these cases. And I'm sure you're curious about the future. And I'll let PPSN continue.
I think Omer did a great job in walking through all the things that we achieved in 4 months. It was a pretty Herculean task. The whole company came together. Not only that, a lot of our partners came and worked with us as well. Many of them are in this room. In fact, we talked about 6 CDNs that we worked with. Many of the CDN vendors are in this room working with us. We did a lot of things with instrumentation, analytics. Folks from that space are also in this room. And it was a joint effort for us to go and deliver this for the NFL in this 4 months. So what we did as a result of that was that we were able to show that NFL has a global audience and Yahoo has a global reach, and together we can make OTT for NFL and for live sporting events a reality coming forward. I think we have changed the game for OTT live streaming in the world, and the industry has changed because of that as well. What we perceive is that going forward, there will be more and more live streaming events. In fact, a lot of the live streaming events will be powered by Yahoo, and Yahoo will become the choice platform for doing live streaming, be it sports or other things. So with that, I would like to close the keynote and open it up for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Both Eric and I will be running around with microphones, so just raise your hand. All right, we got a question right here. State your name and who you're with, and then your question.
Sure, Joel Espelin from TDG. What led you to pick the 6.7 top level? And again, as a learning exercise, would you pick that level again? Just what's your thoughts on that?
So we had overall 9 qualities, plus audio only for certain devices. Obviously, we didn't mention everything. The decision to go with 6.7 was simply testing past live event, music event that we use with 6 megabit per second. So it was almost like the default. We definitely are going to go above that in future events. Not only that, we are knowing what's going on in the market, we are also evaluating ways to reduce the bits per quality, namely the 6 megabit per second is just the number of bits. It doesn't one-to-one correlate to the quality of the video itself. So if you can find H.265 or other ways to go with that same bit rate but with better quality, that's obviously another way to improve your video experience.
Yeah, I think to add to what Omer said, our main goal was to make sure that the fans had TV or better than TV quality experience. A lot of our fans, and in fact, some of our engagement numbers show that people Chromecasted it, people used connected devices like Apple TV, people used their Xboxes, and in fact, many of these had multipliers of 3 or 4 engagement time as compared to, for example, the desktop. And it was very important that when you put it up on the big screen, you get crisp quality. And for us, getting it at 6.7 or higher at that big screen level was very important. And for us to get to many sporting events before that have been like 3 megabits or 4 megabits. And it just didn't look right. We had blockiness. We didn't want to have blockiness. And making it very crisp was important. And that's why we chose 6.7. Going forward, we just did 720p. Going forward, we want to do more and more things at 1080p and things at 4K if possible. And that would mean that the bit rates are going to drastically increase. And like Omer said, with better encoding, we can make it better.
And another small note about it, when we had the first meeting with the NFL, we also obviously spoke about these 6 megabits per second. They said, okay, we understand, but be sure, if needed, take that down, have the mechanism to shut down the high qualities in case of too congested networks, and so on.
And the video routing policy helped us do that if we had to do it. We didn't have to do it, so that's
That's a
good.
question over here.
A lot of questions, actually. I see.
All right. I'm Alex Holtz of Grass Valley. I've had a league, a 12-team league with Yahoo Fantasy Football now for 8 years. I think this is fantastic what you guys just did.
Thank
now,
you.
for what's next, as a fantasy football player for quite a long time, I love what the NFL has done with Red Zone and what you guys do on your platform. When do you plan to integrate those two concepts together so that we can have personalization on the video streams?
So that's obviously a great question. This is exactly the kind of things that we want to bring to our platform and to our product. I don't want to commit here today on dates or roadmaps, but exactly the kind of things. And this is not just and Red Zone and this concept of having multiple views and having multiple interactions, in fact, with your fantasy league, is not just for NFL. It's across a lot of sports. So if you think about it, once we have built this platform, we should be able to do this across multiple sports. We are actively thinking about it.
Yeah, because the issue with Red Zone, it's linear. And it's not necessarily what you want in terms of the players that you're tracking.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I think Yahoo is in a unique spot where we can bring these kind of differentiated experiences because our audience comes to Yahoo for that, and that's what will help us keep and retain and engage the audience. So we are actively thinking about it. Thank
Okay, question here.
Yeah, hi, this is Mark Fisher from Quilt. Great report, thank you. The data is incredible, appreciate the insights. You mentioned working with a number of CDNs to secure the capacity to support this event. You know, looking forward now, is it your sense that we're on a path where we can do more events like this on greater scale, more frequently, so, you know, Monday Night Football and the like could be supported? And are there other innovations that you looked at during this time, other insights about capacity, perhaps in the ISP networks and CDNs overall that you'd like to comment on? Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say that we have a lot of data. We have learned a lot. In fact, we showed the fact that running up to the NFL event, we had done 9 real large-scale tests, not with NFL, but because we have content, we have capacity, we can actually run and learn. And we did a lot of that. But the NFL event was a larger scale than what we had done in our tests as well. So we learned a lot during this. We know which CDNs work well, which CDNs don't work well, which areas they work well, what are the issues we face. So definitely there is a lot of things we can do better with the CDNs. In fact, a lot of the meetings we have had here are about how we get the CDNs to get better as well, not just take our data, actually work with the CDNs, make it better. I think we are absolutely there to do these Monday night kind of events. In fact, Sunday night is bigger than, I think it's bigger than Monday night. But Sunday night and Monday night kind of events. And in fact, we are actively looking at how we bring a lot more. NFL was just one live stream for one day for 4 hours. We want to make this into a repeatable thing, and our platform is capable of being that. And we are you'll hear a lot more announcements that come. We are in discussions with a bunch of leagues, including obviously the NFL, where we'll bring much more repetitive content and repetitive engagement. In fact, there are other sports where things are happening on a daily basis, not on a weekly basis or for 3 months in a year. We want to do that repeatedly, and I think we are more than capable. And so by Q1 or Q2, you will hear more and more things about what kind of sports we'll be working on.
Regarding the collaboration with the ISPs, obviously, and I think Netflix lessons from that and ours as well, are that the ISPs needs to collaborate much more in the streaming. The interconnect in between the out to the ISP is one of the weakest places, one of the weakest links in the overall topology of the network. We approach many ISPs. We approach several of them. Some of them don't exactly have a CDN. Their CDN is completely scattered. They bought this company, they bought that company. But we found one that actually was ready and willing to collaborate, and indeed the results were good. So that's definitely the direction. It's complex. It will take years. It's not something that will happen in a day.
David Friedman, WWOZ, New Orleans. Now that you've made such a spectacular splash in entering live streaming, there's other things besides sports. For example, music. Is this changing your approach or strategy to on-demand, the VOD post-event type of thing? Not thinking about it.
Let me try to rephrase the question. You're asking if we can take what we learned from NFL and take it into the music arena. Yahoo already does roughly 1 music concert a day with Live Nation. We do have a decent audience that comes for that. Right. But there are challenges with music is, unlike an NFL game or a sports where you take an audience from one game to the next, taking the same audience from one music concert to the next is far more difficult, right? A person who likes Taylor Swift doesn't necessarily or may not necessarily overlap. I hope I'm not offending anybody here. May not overlap with Metallica, for example, right? You can't get from a Taylor Swift concert and say, I would like to take this audience and take them to a hard metal concert or something like that. Whereas an NFL game, people do transition. So there are different problems from a content perspective and an audience perspective, but we already do a lot of concerts. In fact, we have, I think last week we have festivals that happen throughout the week, right. Throughout the weekend, sorry. So there are a lot of those things that Yahoo does as well, and we are going to continue doing that. But sports and live sports, there is excitement, there is a passion, and people come and want to consume that and have a social viewing experience. And I think those are the kind of things that we want to bring. So a lot more focus on live, a lot more focus on sports, not necessarily not just the NFL, but a lot of other sports. There are very, very interesting sports, specifically even for sports that are targeted towards millennials, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Kevin Yu with Concurrent Computer. First of all, this is awesome. It's really a game changer. Thank you. So I have questions regarding your players. So are they HTML5 based players?
So like Omer mentioned, on Safari we have a pure HTML5 player that we use for the NFL, which is what I think going forward you'll see more and more our move towards HTML5. We have not publicly announced, but we are actively, like all other companies, given the vulnerabilities that people have with Flash, we want to move away from Flash and move towards HTML5, and that's our strategy.
Okay. Sorry, we got more questions. Oh, go ahead.
Robert Reinhardt, Video RX. Mine's actually sort of a follow-up to that. Your Yahoo ABR strategy, which you compared to the intelligent ABR being better than that, is that something you can consistently apply across the board, or is it only with Flash because you can control those switching metrics?
So definitely we are going to have that on other on HTML5 and on the other platforms as well. We again compare it, if it's Android, we compare it what there is open source on Android, and if we see that ours is better, and that's what we've seen until today, we definitely are going to implement it on all platforms possible. Regarding iOS, and that's a question that I don't know the answer just yet, if you're going to continue to use Apple's ABR on Safari and iOS.
Go ahead.
Hello, yeah, my name is Andreas Damiano. I'm from the UN. Could you tell us which CDN had the best performance?
No. I think we have six of the CDNs here. Okay. I would say all six had a great performance.
Okay.
Who won the prize? I forget who won the prize. The CDN Reader's Choice Award.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay, did you stream in other languages besides English?
Yeah, so we did Spanish, and we did, like I said, a fantasy take on commentating, and we had our own studio with the audio channel that was superimposed on the video that we got. So there were 3 audios, and all 3 were, I would say all 3 were pretty good, and people just loved the fantasy one.
Hi, Aslam Qadir from Elemental Technologies. I just had a question regarding your latency from a glass-to-glass perspective. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, so it was also a discussion that we had internally, whether to take risks here or not. We decided also because of our discussion with the CDN, understanding that several of them don't only have the problem of throughput, but actually have the problem of request per second. So going with an HLS of 2 seconds versus 8 seconds would have caused more load on the CDNs as well. So we decided to stick to the standard, to the market standard, and to take the lowest one, which was 8 seconds per segment, and you can do the calculation from there. We are investigating, especially with the ISP and some other CDNs, we are investigating a far, far lower HLS segment, and also obviously considering Dash as something that works slightly different in that regard.
Yeah, I think from a broadcast delay, I don't know what people call it, but in broadcast, actually people call it broadcast delay, whereas here it's still the HLS segmentation is causing the delay. We worked very hard to figure out what is the right metric, and we wanted to reduce it in this. There are multiple challenges with streaming, right? For example, you're sitting in a bar with broadcast, all the TVs in the bar are synchronized, whereas with the HLS, it will not be, right? And so there are a bunch of these challenges. I think we are actively solving it. I think we will be there first in the market to solve some of these problems. But these are really exciting problems because as more and more people are moving, those capabilities like narrowing the latency, synchronizing across TVs, I think become very important.
Okay, we have time for one more question right over here.
My name is Linda Sargent, and I'm with Multimedia Technology and Faith Video. We've started doing college football games. Mm-hmm. And you said that in Dallas, 100,000 people were impacted when the weather changed there.
We had, I think there was this hurricane called Patricia the night before.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question is, when something like that happens to us and it impacts a college game, we get terrible feedback. So what would you have done to get better feedback? What type of information did the NFL say as far as the customer experience, or did you get any information about the customer experience?
Oh, of course.
Because of that?
Of course. Obviously, we put a few tweets here. There were tweets that talked about people having problems when that happened. Luckily for us, it happened at 5:55, which was still the game had not started. The pregame show was going on, so it happened at a time where there were fewer people. The kickoff was not done, but we had a lot of tweets. We had a lot of feedback, both from our customer service side, people sending emails. We had people who were constantly monitoring Twitter feeds, and in fact, in the executive room, we had customer support people who were actually looking at tweets, looking at social media, and coming up and asking what's happening, right? And so that was, and in fact, we had a lot of such glitches and reports, and we used that as an action to solve some of the problems. So we did have that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please a nice round of applause for PPS and Omar from Yahoo. Couple of really quick announcements. The exhibit